Good morning, everybody, and welcome into Hog Hoops Live, episode number 13. I'm your host, Curtis Wilkerson. You can find me alongside Trey Biddy and Danny West over on the team at HawgSports.com. Your number 12 Arkansas Razorbacks destroyed South Carolina on the road last night, 101-73. Wow. We're going to recap that South Carolina game. We're going to take a quick peek ahead at Texas A&M because, well, we've already done it already twice. We're going to dive into some postseason and NCAA tournament stuff, talk a little best and worst case scenario when it comes to some seeding in March Madness. As always, get your comments and questions in the chat. We'll get to those at the very end. Welcome in once again to Hog Hoops Live. Okay. Real quick, everybody, before we get started, I do want to go over this promo one more time. We did it last week. I know Trey talked to you guys about it on Monday when he was doing Hog Sports Live, but this is the last day to jump in on this deal, and it's a really good one. If you're listening to the podcast or the YouTube video a little bit later, we're talking on Wednesday here, okay? A bunch of you have already done this, and that's awesome. Some of you haven't taken advantage yet, but you still have time if you do it today on Wednesday. Hear me out. Okay, sign up for an annual membership at HawgSports at 50% off and get commercial-free CBS All Access, which is soon, and I mean very soon, going to be rebranded to Paramount Plus, which is awesome. You get that absolutely for free as long as you're subscribed. That's a big deal. So traditionally, CBS All Access, that's a $99.99 annual value, not offered with these discounted subscriptions that we run with HawgSports. Okay? It's going to be a while before we do it again. And that's not all. So if you're a monthly subscriber, you can also upgrade to an annual subscription at 50% off, still receive commercial-free CBS All Access at no charge for the life of the subscription. It's a really, really good deal. You can see the logo here at the bottom of the screen. Go to HawgSports.com right now. You're going to see that exact same thing on the front page. Click on it, follow the links. It'll get you all set up with everything that you need to take advantage of the deal. You have until 10:59 Central Time Wednesday night to take advantage of this. Okay, let's get this thing out of the way. Whew, what a game last night. My goodness. After the last couple weeks, you really had to kind of wonder, you know, what you might get from this Arkansas team. You know? I mean, so many big games were stacked on, if you think about it. For a while there, the run there, Missouri, Florida, Alabama, LSU, those are some big-time games, a lot of revenge games. You're playing, you know, those are all the top teams in the conference aside from Arkansas. You jump from being on nobody's radar all the way up to number 12 in the country, and then all of a sudden, you know, you got to hop on a plane and go play a South Carolina team that's really had a rough go of it all year. You're man down without Jalen Williams, who's been really a key for you as of late. He's unavailable. It's kind of like Eric Musselman said in his post game last night. You know, he was worried what's left in the emotional tank. It's fair. It was full. It was full at South Carolina. Arkansas, I thought, looked as dominant as they have in a very long time. And I mean long time like years. Okay, even the guy on the broadcast said that they looked underrated as the number 12 team in the country with the way they're playing, and I agree. They looked really good last night, and that's no exaggeration at all. I kind of felt bad for old Frank Martin's squad, to be completely honest. Now listen, you know, South Carolina hung in there. They kept it close for 12, 13 minutes probably, and then the Hogs just ran away with it. The offensive efficiency last night was off the charts. I mean, listen, keep this statement in context, because I know they're playing a not-so-good South Carolina team, but Arkansas, in my opinion, and I watch a lot of basketball, they looked Final Four good last night. And the chemistry and the confidence jumped off the screen for this team. The ball movement, my goodness, 305 passes for the Hogs last night. That's crazy. That's unheard of. Teams don't do that. 305 passes. The ball didn't stick. And they weren't just chucking it around the perimeter. Players were constantly moving off the ball, screening, cutting to get open. Everybody knows where their teammate's going to be. Pass fake, shot fake, keep that thing moving. After the LSU game, Musselman talked about how in the first half against that zone that LSU likes to run, that the guys were doing that. They were kind of lock-kneed, ball over the head, just kind of looking around like high school Harry is what he called him. High school Harry out there just passing around the perimeter, not a threat. Was not the case last night. They were all threats, playing with supreme confidence. Arkansas shot 55% from the field. That's really good, okay? 15 of 33 from three. Where the heck has that been? We knew this team had perimeter punch. We saw it early in the season. We saw it at times throughout the conference. It's really about shot selection. The number of attempts from three had gone down quite a bit lately because Musselman has those guys put an emphasis on being aggressive and attacking the rim, getting to the basket. And they were successful at it. So teams had to adjust because Arkansas is doing that well. They're shooting 30-plus free throws a game. So you start seeing these matchup zones, the pack line defense, sagging man-to-man, which means what? Boom. Drive and kick, wide open threes. And against South Carolina, Arkansas starts burying them, which means the defense has to spread out again. It creates gaps. The floodgates open. Arkansas scores 101 points. That's high-level execution. That's a direct result of the chemistry that this group has built together. I was really impressed. And, to talk about the confidence, because when you add that element to go along with the execution, to go along with the chemistry, and you've got every guy out there on the floor playing with supreme confidence as an individual and confidence in their teammates, that's when a team becomes really dangerous. Think about some of these individual performances. Let me pull up this box score. Moses Moody, tied a career high, 28 points. 10 of 15 from the field. Now, we've talked about it on this show before. If you read anything that I put out on HawgSports.com, what I've been saying now for the last couple weeks is Moses is getting a lot more aggressive and a lot more assertive, taking his man off the dribble, which it was a question mark about him coming into the year, and he's just improved steadily over the course of the season. So, he won SEC Freshman of the Week this past week, averaging 21 points per game at a time when he shot 25% or less from the field. The shots weren't falling. And I said at some point, he's going to be as aggressive and assertive off the bounce as he has been, and the shots are going to start falling. And when that happens, look out. South Carolina was the victim of that. Okay? 10 of 15. He scored, I think, 11 of the first 14 for Arkansas. 4 of 9 from 3. The jumper looked pure last night. It looked good. 4 of 4 from the free throw line. 7 rebounds. Really, really good performance from Moses Moody. He not only looked like an SEC Freshman of the Year candidate, he looked like an SEC Player of the Year candidate. Stiff competition there. He's got to be in the conversation. If he's not first team All-SEC at the very least, it's a crime. Justin Smith, here we go again. We know the value that he brings to the basketball team as a glue guy, as someone that changes everything that they do defensively and on the glass. He's coming along as an offensive threat. You think about early in the year, some of those non-conference games when, he'd take some of those jumpers, those 15-footers, and you're thinking, could probably do without some of those, right? Do you remember those days? Missing some of the easy ones around the rim. He's improved a lot offensively, really in the last 2 weeks. Against South Carolina, 22 points, 8 of 12 from the field, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, which you love to see because he's traditionally not a great free throw shooter, but he's going to be a dude that's on the line a lot come postseason play. 8 more rebounds. Ho-hum day, right? What I really like to see from Smith against South Carolina is that he looks way more confident shooting that mid-range jumper from the high post or even the short corner, he's not hesitating. He's getting into it. He's getting a little bit of air underneath his feet. It's kind of a weird, almost free throw-like set shot for a while there. But what that tells me, without hesitation, is that he believes he's going to make it, right? So he's shooting it with that much more confidence. And then he's really starting to develop the face-up and attack game. So, he can catch it back to the basket in the post and make some moves. He did that against Florida and looked good doing it. But against South Carolina, he'd catch it kind of in that mid-post, that 10 to 12-foot range. He'd turn and eye his man up and attack him off the dribble. And he was going to the rim, and he was finishing strong. That's big boy basketball. J.D. Notae. I mean, he's been playing phenomenal. He's been playing like an all-league guy the last 3 games. And, one thing that you wanted from him for most of the season was defense, which he's turned into a weapon for Arkansas on the defensive end at this point. You'd love to see it. But you wanted consistency from him and better shot selection. Those are really the things. You cut down on the turnovers a little bit, man. Embrace the point guard position some and just take better shots. Well, he's done that the last 3 games. If he maintains that going into postseason play, Arkansas is going to be a tough out. Last night off the bench, and Must turned to him quick. I mean, I think he was in the game like 3 minutes in, and he wound up playing 30 minutes. Plus 28, Arkansas was, in 30 minutes with Notae on the floor. He had 21 points, 9 of 16 from the field. He hit 3 threes. What stands out to me from that, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals. Not too many people can put up that kind of stat line in a game, much less coming off the bench. And it was good that he did, because you had other guys. Jalen Tate didn't have a great game, didn't have his best game. That's a couple in a row where Tate's been a little bit off of his game, so you want him to bounce back, and he will. He'll be okay. You need him as a distributor, a ball mover, and really a guy who locks down on the perimeter. Devo didn't have his best game, only 4 points. He had 5 turnovers. That's too many. A little loose with the basketball, but he made an impact. A couple steals, 8 rebounds, which is huge, so finding a way to impact the game in other ways. But when you need scoring punch, to have a guy like J.D. Notae come off and give you 21, that's huge. Speaking of scoring punch, off the bench, Desi Sills. We spent a lot of time talking about Desi. A lot of you had questions and comments last week. Is he hurt? What's going on? Should Arkansas rest him? And we saw signs of life, if you remember talking about it. He looked a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more confident on the floor. After that, during that Alabama game, that's what we talked about. You saw it a little bit more against LSU over the weekend. He stuck a 3. Just had a little bit more bounce in his step. He blew up on South Carolina. It was great. Really good, feel-good moment for a good kid. He comes in 15 points, 5 of 7 from 3, so that ties a career high for Desi, and made 3-pointers. Played 26 minutes. That was big time to see him bust out, because, talking about having some scoring pop off the bench and depth and things like that. Vance Jackson, another guy, he only played 9 minutes, but he came in and he drilled 2 threes. And you think, oh, well, so what? It was a 30-point blowout. But he needed to see that. He needed to see those shots go down. And I asked Muss about it after the game. Going into postseason play, you think about this SEC tournament, hey, Arkansas is in a good spot there. But to make a run, you're going to be playing on back-to-back-to-back nights. When you get an NCAA tournament play, you're going to have one day off and then the next game. You never know what happens with foul trouble, fatigue, things like that. So to have your depth pieces getting some good minutes, some critical run late in the season, and seeing some success, building confidence, getting some chemistry going with the regulars, that's huge. It's something that could really pay big dividends in the next couple weeks. So I was really happy to see that. Arkansas obviously was out. They were without Jalen Williams. Like I said, he was unavailable. So really he had to figure out what to do at the 5, at the center spot, because, I mean, he's been playing 20, 25 minutes per game. Good production, big minutes. So you needed a good outing out of Connor Vanover. Well, first of all, he gave you 20 minutes. That's good. Arkansas is plus 17 with him on the floor. He did some really good things. 6 rebounds. It's a good number for Connor, especially in 20 minutes. 4 blocks, protecting the rim. That's good. Hit a 3. You love to see it, right? Still some things to work on. And he missed a couple of those little bunnies shots around the rim. You want to see those go in, right? You need to make those. Got scored on a few times by some guys that I really don't think should have scored on him. McCreary is one that stands out to me, and then the big freshman for South Carolina that just got on campus like 2 weeks ago. I can see a little bit better there, but you got to take the good with the bad. He's not going to come in there and be perfect. But like I said, you got 20 minutes from him, rim protection, some rebounding. That's good. Good to build on moving forward. Then who else did you get? Jackson came in, gave you 10 minutes. Ethan Henderson came in, didn't do anything. I don't even think he had anything on the stat sheet other than 2 fouls. Right? But he gave you 6 minutes, didn't hurt you. Building a little bit of momentum, confidence. He's getting comfortable playing on the floor again. And then they played Justin Smith, and I like that look. You can get away with it against some teams who don't have a really big-time scoring presence there at the 5. Play Justin Smith at the 5 and go small ball, play 4 guards around him. That's tough to guard. It's hard to guard. So I thought they overcame that loss pretty well. Pretty well. You know, Trey put out a really good article on HawgSports.com this morning just about the historical significance of what's going on. I mean, some really impressive facts and stats, and shout out to Hog Stats that it's putting in a lot of work with everything that's going on right now. But, you know, just some of it we've already mentioned, but, you know, talking about the South Carolina game alone, Moody ties a career high with 28 points. Desi ties a career high with 5 threes. The 28-point win was the 3rd largest margin ever in an SEC road game for Arkansas. Okay. 15 made threes. 2nd most for the team in an SEC road game. 5th most in an SEC game, period. All time. 101 points. 5th most for the Hogs in an SEC road game. It just goes to show you how well they played at South Carolina. And then taking a look at the season, big picture, first time since 1995, Arkansas has won 4 consecutive SEC road games. So they beat, South Carolina, Mizzou, Kentucky, Vanderbilt. Yeah, South Carolina, Mizzou, Kentucky, Vanderbilt. The last 4 road games, they won them all. Currently, right now, Arkansas is 12-4 in the SEC. That's tied for the best winning percentage in SEC play at 75% since 1995. That was the year they went to the championship game. If Arkansas wins on Saturday against Texas A&M, that would become the best winning percentage since the 94 championship season. Some good company. I love this. Tuesday was the first game that an Arkansas team has shot at least 60% from 2-point field goals, 45% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line. That's elite. It was a big night for Eric Musselman, too. It was win number 150 as a college head coach. He hit that mark in 6 seasons, and so you can do the math. That's really good. 150 wins and 51 losses overall as a college head coach between Nevada and Arkansas. He's the first Razorback head coach to win 20 games in his first 2 seasons, and he's also hit that 20-win mark every year since he's been a college head coach. Probably a good thing, too. He joked after the game that Mcdaniel, his wife, has set that goal for him, 20 wins every season. You know, if he didn't hit that mark, it might be a permanent stay in the pool house. I don't know. Also, really good stat here. The win over South Carolina means that Muss has already officially beaten every team in the SEC. Beat them all. It took him 34 games to do it. 34 games. So for reference sake, it took Nolan Richardson 41. It took Mike Anderson 51. It took John Pelfrey 71. Good old Stan Heath didn't do it. He never beat Kentucky. So a big win. Arkansas is rolling. I mean, that's 10 SEC wins in a row. They haven't lost a game overall since January 30th at Oklahoma State. Boy, that's one they'd love to have back. Don't you think? Okay. So, Texas A&M. Here we go again. Okay. Was supposed to happen twice already. It didn't. Rumor has it Arkansas will host the Aggies in Bud Walton Arena Saturday, March 6th at 4 p.m. Okay? It appears that the Aggies are finally going to return to the floor tonight, Wednesday night, for the first time since the end of January to play Mississippi State. I'll believe it when I see it, but all indications are that game is on. Assuming that's the case, I'm excited to watch them play. Now, I know we got frustrated with the two postponements. One was a home game scheduled for February 6th. That's the game that's being made up and rescheduled this weekend. The other was a road trip on the 20th. You remember that. It got called off right as Arkansas was loading up to head to College Station. A little advance notice would have been nice. Okay? But, as I understand it, these guys have really been through it. It wasn't just a bunch of quarantines and contact tracing and things like that. As I understand it, I mean, they had 7, 8, 9 guys who eventually tested positive as it, started to make it spread or whatever. There were a handful who were symptomatic, who were sick, right? So it sucks for those kids. So, really at this point, really hope they're healthy. It'll be good to see them back out on the floor, able to compete, assuming it happens. You just never know with those kind of things. So I don't know what to expect out of this game. I mean, Musselman's prepped for it twice at this point, prep for this team. I do a VIP, kind of scouting report and breakdown on HawgSports.com for every game. So I've done it twice. Now it makes my job easier later in the week, right? Because I can just kind of tweak a few things and get it back out there based on what we see tonight. But you don't know if they're going to be in shape. I don't know if they're going to be sharp or efficient or anything like that. But I'll bet Texas A&M is going to be fired up to take the floor and play. It's been a long layoff. I mean, the last time they played was the SEC Big 12 Challenge. They beat Kansas State. You remember how long ago it feels like that Arkansas lost at Oklahoma State? It was the same day. Arkansas went 7-0, undefeated in the month of February. Texas A&M didn't play a game. That's wild. I can't get over that. But at any rate, game on, right? For now. Should be a game Arkansas wins, don't you think? I mean, you take a look at the net rankings. Arkansas sits at number 12. A&M's number 141. KenPom, Arkansas's number 14. A&M's number 129. One thing I like about KenPom is it gives you a predictor, and it has Arkansas with a 91% chance to win. The score prediction 75-60. I think it might be a wider margin than that, personally. Texas A&M's a team they've struggled offensively this season. They rank number 196 in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency, number 270 in effective field goal percentage. They turn it over a ton. They don't shoot the three well. Offense isn't necessarily their thing. Yeah, I would expect Buzz Williams to try to dictate tempo. He prefers that to be at a snail's pace. They're number 344 in the country in adjusted tempo. So they're the slowest power conference team in the country, not named Virginia. Looking, again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on these guys, but looking at their scoring average, 63.5 points per game. It's pretty low. A lot of that is because of the slow pace that they play. Opponents don't score a ton on them either. They have not scored over 68 points against an SEC opponent this season. Defense has kept them close in a number of games. When they can grind out games and really dictate the tempo and slow it down and make it a slogfest, obviously it limits possessions. They can keep it close. And it's kind of dangerous, too, because they just haven't played. I mean, Arkansas will get a chance to watch them against Mississippi State, which is, I mean, that's a plus. But when a team hasn't played for that long, and I don't know how long they've been practicing at this point, I have no idea. But you just wonder what kind of new wrinkles they'll have thrown in there, or if Buzz will just say, hey, screw it, guys, go have fun. I mean, I don't know. A lot of familiar faces. So that's one thing they do have going for them, is they have a lot of continuity. Emmanuel Miller back. He's leading them about 15 points, 8 rebounds a game. Quentin Jackson's a name you'll remember. He's a good three-point shooter, one of the few that they have. Andre Gordon in the backcourt, J.J. Chandler, Savion Flagg. You remember all those guys from years past. So they've got some capable players. So again, I really do hope that the game can be played as scheduled, and I really do think it will this time. You hear that? I'm knocking on wood. Okay? Oh, I made my dog mad. Slim Jim, the wiener dog, makes an appearance. But again, hope it happens. Especially what's cool right now is with the governor loosening up restrictions a little bit. I'm not saying that they'll be able to pack out Bud Walton, but maybe you could get a few more people in there to celebrate the team and the accomplishments just one more time before postseason play. I think that'd be a really nice send-off for this group. But speaking of postseason play, and this is what I really want to talk about, SEC tournament's next week. Wow. I mean, the season, time flies when you're having fun, right? So, opens up on Wednesday, March the 10th. Now, Arkansas has earned a double bye already, which is huge. They locked in the 2 seed after beating the Gamecocks last night. So the first game for Arkansas will be Friday, March 12th, 6 p.m. Central. So what that means, Arkansas would play the winner of the 7-10 matchup. And things could still change with games that are still to be played, depending on when you're listening to this, Wednesday night or even Saturday, right? But most likely, if you take a look at it, Arkansas is probably going to get the winner of Missouri versus Georgia. Could be Mississippi State, depending on how things shake out. Again, all these teams have 2 games left to play. But probably Missouri or Georgia, maybe Mississippi State. All right. Because the Razorbacks, I mean, they're really it's kind of an unfamiliar spot, right? I mean, they played well enough to where it actually doesn't matter what happens in Nashville. They're in the NCAA tournament. March Madness, baby. Let's go. With that being said, at this point you're playing for what? Conference clout and seeding for the big dance. What's your philosophy on that? I mean, sometimes when teams are rolling, like Arkansas is headed to the postseason, people will say, hey, they need to take a loss. Take a loss, get it out of the way before the tournament. I don't know. I don't know if I buy into that theory. To me, I think, just win, right? Win. I do understand, though, that when you get to the NCAA tournament, everything's amplified so much because it's win or go home. It's the biggest stage. So after you've been winning and everything's been going so well for so long, at the first sign of adversity, or you get down or a team puts a run on you, you don't want to be shell-shocked, right? So I understand it from that standpoint. I just assume they keep winning, personally. At other times, you worry about a team wearing down a little bit before the NCAA tournament. That's the good thing about this double bye, right? Even if Arkansas makes it to the championship game in Nashville, you'd play 3 in a row, and then you'd have 4 or 5 days at least before you play your opening round game. So they'll have time to recover. So then, what are the ramifications in terms of seeding for the following week? Once you're safely in the field, and Arkansas obviously is a highly ranked top 25 team, there's certain things that you want to avoid to set yourself up to make a run, right? So, for example, ideally, you'd like to avoid being seeded 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Because that puts you in a pretty even first-round matchup, and then you play one of the top 8 teams in the country 2 days later, a number 1 or number 2 seed. I'm pretty confident in saying that Arkansas has done enough to avoid that. Even if they lose to Texas A&M Saturday and lose their first game in Nashville, I don't see any way this team drops to that range. It's not going to happen unless something really, really egregious is going down in the selection room, right? I don't really see an avenue for this team to drop below a 5 seed. Honestly, I'd be surprised if they even got there, especially if they win Saturday and beat Texas A&M on Saturday. There's no way that happens. And if you take a look at it right now, I looked at, obviously Lenardi and all those guys, but also looked on Bracket Matrix, which has everyone's bracketology, and at this point, Arkansas is about 50-50 split between a 3 seed and a 4 seed. One person had him as a 5. Who is that guy? Come on. But in all seriousness, that's a really good spot to be in, and I just don't think they're going to drop that far, especially after doing what they did last night. Again, you look at some of the analytics, that net jumping up to number 12, that's big. And the other thing you have to consider, what's going to happen to the teams around you? It seems like it's Arkansas and Alabama, and it's just a bunch of Big 10 and Big 12 teams, and they're just all beating the crap out of each other, right? So a lot of them are going to lose, which bodes well for a team like Arkansas. So if I was a betting man, I'd say a 5 is the absolute floor. Most likely, you're looking at a 3 or a 4, depending on how the next week goes. Now, what's the ceiling? Is there a path to a 2 seed? Yeah, I think there is. And I think there is. Like, if you win on Saturday, then you go to Nashville and you beat Missouri and Florida and Alabama or whoever, you'd have a hard time convincing me that Arkansas doesn't belong in the top 2 seed lines. I mean, they're 20-5 at this point. That'd be 4. I mean, that's 24-5 with a ridiculous amount of quality wins. You think about the 1 seed. I mean, that'd be cool. I guess if things fell right into place, maybe if Arkansas won out. But I think a 2 seed could definitely be in play. If they play well in Nashville, why not? It's an exciting time. I thought coming into the year that this would be an NCAA tournament team. But I'll be honest. I mean, I think I had them pegged at 19 wins or so, 19, 20 wins. But I really saw them as, an 8, 9, 10 seed. Kind of a fringe top 25 team. But Muss has them clicking. The Muss bus is rolling. And I love it. Exceeding expectations. Gotta love it. All right. Let's get into your questions, comments, see what we got today. Cody Jackson says, Woo Pig Suey, amen, brother. Brandon D. McDaniel, I love what Musselman has done with this group of players. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I mean, it is really impressive. I wrote an article, not too long ago, titled, Is Eric Musselman SEC Coach of the Year? And it's probably going to be Nate Oates at Alabama, and that's well-deserved. It's well-deserved if Oates gets it. Regular season champs, they were picked about where Arkansas was. And obviously they've had a tremendous season. They also had a lot in that cupboard coming back. And to see what Musselman's been able to do with this group, when you think about the lack of returners, all the new faces, and getting everything to gel, and then the way they've closed, Alabama's not really playing great. Right now they look pretty good last night against Auburn. But they're not playing their best basketball. Arkansas's rolling. Okay? I think you could make the case for Muss there. He's done a really, really nice job. If nothing else, give that man a raise, right? I've seen a lot of people on our Razor's Edge message board saying, hey, we're waiting for you guys to release the story about Muss getting an extension. Look, I don't have any insider details on that at the moment, but I'd be surprised if something didn't happen at some point. He certainly earned it, don't you think?
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Thank you, Siri. Kate Alexander says, how far-fetched is it to predict Arkansas in the Final Four? You know, again, it is all about matchups, right? And we've talked about that. So with the right matchups, anybody could do it. We've seen 10 or 11 seeds make a deep run. But honestly, with the way the team played last night, they looked the part. They really did. Number 12 team in the country, you wouldn't have found 11 teams in college basketball that could beat Arkansas the way they played last night. And the beauty of it is, the better you keep playing, now that you're on this roll, what happens? That seed gets better. Even last week, when we were talking about it, it was like, oh yeah, probably, a 5 or 6 seed. And now we're sitting here wondering if they can get to a 2. Right? And so the higher your seed, the more clear that path gets to make a run. They could absolutely do it. Is it going to require some great basketball? Of course. A little luck? Yeah, that's with any team that has that opportunity. But are they capable with the way they play defense, with the way they game plan specifically for teams so you never really know what to expect from them, the weapons that they have off the bench and the depth? It's a team that's capable of making a pretty serious run. It is. They could also run to a bad matchup and get bumped early. But are they capable? Absolutely. I'll give them credit. Hunter Martin said Moses Moody made some money last night. Boy, didn't he? I mean, he was lights out last night. They couldn't do anything with him. And what was crazy to me is, as hot as he was, they just kept giving him open looks for he missed probably 3 or 4 point blank wide open threes. And Muss took him out too, as you should. In a blowout like that, no sense in keeping him in there. But had he played his normal minutes and knocked down a couple of those wide open ones, he could have had 40. That's how good he was last night. Yeah, he definitely earned some extra money on that paycheck in the future, didn't he? MP Rich says, Woo Pig Suey, I was concerned to see Williams not making the trip. The guys stepped up, hat tip to Dungy for career points of 2077, and that's more than what Sidney Moncrief had. Yeah, I agree with both. I'll touch on Chelsea real quick. I mean, what an amazing year she had. I thought she was going to be, hands down SEC Player of the Year, and that's no knock on the girl at Kentucky. She's been fantastic as well, but incredible. She might not have got that award, but she looks the part of a first-team All-American to me. Great career. That's a team that could make a run too. Good time to be an Arkansas basketball fan or sports in general. If you take a look at how all the teams are doing. And yeah, with Williams, I was a little concerned too. I was a little concerned about that too. You just never know. I mean, a guy that's been stepping up like that. Even Musselman said in the pregame that it kind of discombobulated everything with the rotations, but they didn't look like a team that was discombobulated. And again, it gives other guys opportunities that probably otherwise wouldn't get them, and they're building confidence, and that's going to make them even better moving forward into the postseason when Jalen's back. So I thought they weathered that storm pretty nicely. Stephen Shoup says, way to go, Hogs, 10 straight wins. Yeah, wow. Not many teams do that. Matt Bohannon, when will recruiting news pick up? Hopefully in the next few months. A lot of these guys are wrapping up their high school seasons now, postseason play. And they're putting focus on that. Doesn't help that the dead period's been extended. Hopefully, again, knock on wood. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to make my dog mad again, but knock on wood, with some of the things loosening up and maybe we're turning the corner a little bit, then we can start seeing some campus visits at some point here in the spring, summer. That'll pick things up. And then obviously, the grassroots AAU season is when you'll start seeing a lot of that. So it's coming. It's a little stagnant right now. I know, as Arkansas keeps playing better and better, I get a lot of those questions like, man, when's somebody going to commit? Aren't they seeing this? What's going on? Oh, they're seeing it. They're seeing it. I exchange messages with a lot of those guys, on a weekly basis, and they see what's going on. It catches their eye. They see the freshmen contributing. All that stuff matters. You got to remember, too, though, Arkansas is recruiting some big fish, man. So, yeah, there's a lot of other teams in the running that are playing well also. So, but it definitely doesn't hurt to be in the position that Arkansas is in on a recruiting front. Brandon D. McDaniel says, Curtis Wilkerson, did you see the threes that Sills was putting up? I was so surprised. Yeah, that was really good to see. Because for what? 2-3 weeks there, he did not look comfortable shooting the basketball. And he did hit the one against LSU, and it looked good. It looked pure. He had another one that it went halfway down and rimmed out. And I thought, you know what? Maybe he's feeling a little bit better because I thought that did look good. And I expect him to come drill 5 on South Carolina. Those were catch and shoot, in rhythm, full confidence. That's vintage Desi. Huge for the team. Pleasant surprise. John Dexter says, I can't remember an Arkansas team ever looking as good as they did last night. Been following them for 20 years. I was a toddler when they won the national championship, so I missed the glory days, unfortunately. Yeah, we're probably about the same age, I guess. But, yeah, like I said, last night was as dominant as I've seen an Arkansas basketball team in a long time. Very long time. Adrian Jones says South Carolina took away the drive, so they put up threes, took what the defense gave. That's exactly right. Made them pay. Yes, Brandon Thibault says Arkansas had a home court advantage at South Carolina. Woo Pig Sooie was sounding loud at the Coliseum. I heard that on the broadcast a couple times. I meant to make a comment about it. How cool was that? What a fan base. What a unique place. All the way over in South Carolina, and they're calling the Hogs. They're in a pandemic. How'd they get tickets? That's pretty cool. I love that. Let's see here. Elizabeth Williams says, love this team. Please continue what you're doing. All great. Great confidence. Yes. Yeah. Keep it up. Keep it rolling. Let's see. Matt Bohannon says, you and D-Dub need to double team a recruiting-based podcast. Needs to happen. I'd be all right with getting on the mic with Danny West. That could be fun. We'd probably do it at his place, though. He's got a man cave or something, right? You know he's got a nice setup. Joey Moses says, Jackson seems now he is aiming instead of shooting the ball like earlier in the year. My take on Tate was coach was giving him the night off to heal that ankle. Yeah. I'd seen some of that from Jackson, especially in that first stint in the first half. Second half, he looked pretty pure and confident. He's one of those guys that he gets one to rattle home, and you can forget the last 50 that he might have missed. And all of a sudden, he's feeling it. He does not lack for confidence, which is good. Tate didn't play well, hasn't played well for a couple games now. It was foul trouble the other night, but against South Carolina, he just didn't quite have it. Joey Moses says, against A&M, would love to see Vanover stuck in the post and force him to work. He probably will be. A&M's a team that they're going to play a traditional big. They got a couple that they rotate in and out of there. Neither one of them are big-time scorers, both pretty big physical guys that can rebound. I think they're going to have a hard time dealing with Connor on the perimeter as a pick and pop guy. But yeah, I'd like to see him, in a game like that, mix it up a little bit inside, work on the jump hooks and stuff. We started seeing it. He's really improved a lot there. He missed a couple last night, but it's going to happen. Brandon McDaniel, so what's the talk about Moody being in the NBA? He's only a freshman, right? Yeah, he's a top 10 pick. I think he's going to probably take advantage of that opportunity, and if he doesn't, man, good for Arkansas. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of talk there about Moody. Rightfully so, deservedly so. Daniel Passmore says, I'm just happy we were able to secure one-and-done talent. Yeah, that's big. That's big, and then I see that you commented shortly after that he's getting better every game. This team will have plenty of stars next year, even with Moses in the league. I can't wait to see Devo and Jay Will next year. So I think that's equally important. When you think about future recruiting, so you think about the elite talents that Arkansas is after. I mean, if I'm a 5-star or a high 4-star or someone who's getting pubbed as maybe a one-and-done guy, and Arkansas is recruiting me, they've got my attention now with what Moody's been able to do. And if I'm anyone else, I'm looking at Arkansas right now saying, man, these guys are rolling, and they have 3 freshmen, true freshmen, on the floor that are absolute key contributors, and there'd be a 4th if he was healthy. So you're seeing that the opportunities are going to be there to play early if you earn it. And that's been what, in the messages I've exchanged with recruits, I mean, that's really been what they've said. It's not always about, oh, I'm really good, I expect to just come in and start and play. They just want the opportunity there if they earn it. And Musselman's given that. And you don't always get that in other places. They'll lean on veterans, even if it's not the best player, because they feel comfortable. Coaches feel comfortable with experience on the floor. And then obviously Musselman has a reputation of hitting the transfer portal hard. And he's going to continue to. And those guys are going to continue to make big impacts. But that doesn't block freshmen. If you can play and you get the job done and you're coachable, he's going to give you an opportunity. I think as a recruit, that's all you can ask for. Let's see. Joey Moses says, if we can win the SEC tourney, we may get a 2 seed. Yeah, I agree. Especially depending on who you play. I mean, if your first game is against Missouri, that's another big time matchup right there. I don't know that that's the team I necessarily want to see for the first game on Friday night. But that'd be a big win. And then again, from there, if you win on Friday, Saturday, chances are, unless somebody makes kind of a surprise run, you're gonna be matched up against LSU or Florida or Tennessee. So that'd be another quality opponent. And then probably Alabama in the championship game, unless they get upset. So Michael Atkins says, better lock Muss up now. Yeah. I would be surprised if we don't see some movement there at some point. Chris Carter says, why is Auburn not in the SEC tournament? They self-imposed a postseason ban. So I know they've been wrapped up in a lot of the the FBI investigation and recruiting allegations and things like that. Say what you want about Bruce Pearl. I'll take the high road on that for the day. But they've self-imposed a postseason ban. Ironically, on a year where they wouldn't have made the postseason anyway. Whatever. Corey Criswell says going to have a lot to replace next year with some of the seniors leaving, possibly Moody. While I'm enjoying the run, do we know of any possible grad transfers for next year that would fit our system and keep this bus rolling? Well, every transfer that's hit the portal at this point, Arkansas has already been in touch with. I mean, there you go. I think it's like 13 or 14 that they've already made contact with. Now, there's some really good ones out there. You know, I look at, there's a power forward out of Robert Morris is transferring, Brahma, who's a really good player that I think would fit nicely, that they've been in contact with. A guy that started at Pitt in the ACC at the point guard position for the last 2 years. Big-time player. So there's already some good talent out there. At the same time, you can kind of be selective because you already know that as soon as the season ends, the portal is just going to be over-flooded with serious players. And I think once that pool's a little bit larger, then you can really identify your specific needs, and find that perfect fit that can come in and make the difference. Still going to have a lot coming back. If you think about it, obviously Devo and Jalen Williams, we talked about them. Connor will be back. Desi should be back. JD Note, the way he's emerged, is a piece you have to be excited about. Obviously, the top junior college power forward in the country is coming in. You have Kamani Johnson, who's already been practicing with the team, the 6'7" forward out of Euler, Little Rock. In my understanding, he's been looking really good. So you got a lot of pieces already in place, but I do think you're probably a couple away from being really, really, really good next year. And the beauty of it is, as Arkansas plays as good as they have, and they're going to be a team that all these guys see here in March, making a run, and hopefully they can continue it and get into that second weekend of the NCAA tournament. Guys who are transferring as grad transfers, they do it for two reasons. One, they probably want to up their stock as a professional, right? But if they were ready for that, they'd have already went. They would need to transfer to another school. So in a lot of cases, it's about going somewhere and winning and being a difference maker. So then you're talking about some of these really good players. You think about how Arkansas missed on Blackshear when he went to Florida. Those are the kind of guys that you might be in the running to get now. Mac McClung, who left Georgetown and is tearing it up at Texas Tech. So I think they can hold out for a little while, and then we'll see what happens. But I bet they're going to make a nice addition or two. Yancey Long says, I haven't cheered as hard this year as I did last night when Desi started lighting it up. Yeah, that was really good to see. It really was. Hopefully he can continue to build off that. Lucas Castleberry says, what guys do you think have a chance at conference postseason awards, first, second, all freshmen, or all defensive? Yeah, that's a great question. I think Moses Moody's obviously in the running for first team all SEC. I think he's also in the running for freshman of the year. Now, Cam Thomas, he's really good offensively. He's one of the most offensively gifted freshmen I've ever seen. And LSU is a good team. They're probably a tournament team, so he's probably got the inside track there, but I don't know. Arkansas is a trending topic, so that helps Moses in that case. We'll see what happens there. I think you have to look at Justin Smith. Maybe not first team, maybe a second team all SEC guy. All defensive team. Justin Smith and Tate, one of the two, if not both, they have to be on there. Have to be. And if there's a sixth man of the year, give it to JD Note now. I don't know if there is or not, but if there's not, they should create it for him, in my opinion. Okay. There's Brandon again. Brandon Sabot says there were probably only 300 fans in the building and most were wearing Razorback shirts. That's awesome. I absolutely love that. Good for you, Arkansas fans. It's good stuff. Brandon Thibault says, if Smith decides to come back next year, this team can be very good again. Yeah. And they absolutely would be. I don't get the vibe that he's going to. I mean, he went through the senior day ceremonies and put the tweet out, the thanks for having me and everything like that. You never know what happens at the end of the year, especially with the kind of run that Arkansas has been on. If they continue it and finish strong, he might be ready to take the next step there. But it would be awesome. It would be awesome if it went down that way. Matt Bohannon says, you don't have to say Hogzilla is your favorite poster he knows. That's you? Is that you? Love Hogzilla. My man. All right. Looks like we made it through most of them there. That was fun. Good show. Good show. It's a good way to wrap it up. It's crazy. I mean, here we go. Everybody, Saturday, 4 p.m., SEC Network against Texas A&M. That's the regular season finale. The next episode is going to be previewing the SEC tournament. It's exciting. We've made it. So I'm going to plan on doing a show. Obviously, there won't be a midweek. Saturday is the last regular season game. Probably Wednesday. Probably do a show Wednesday. We'll do a full preview of everything that's going down. So long as I get approval, I'm planning on making the trip to Nashville. So might see if we can, sneak in something a little different, some instant reactions, some game day previews. I don't know. Something. We're going to be there. Take it all in a little bit. Should be an absolute blast, but that's the plan. Again, great show. Thanks as always. I absolutely love the interaction. It's a great time. I really do look forward to this show every week, but hey, listen, stay safe. Enjoy your weekend. Call those Hogs on Saturday. We'll see you next week on Hog Hoops Live. You guys have a good one.